I'm trying to channel my inner earth goddess energy today with this outfit for what I consider the earth goddess of the zodiac, Taurus. Hola, my beautiful lotus flowers. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're into nerding out on everything astrology, spirituality, and self-transformation, this is a community for you. Today we're talking all about Taurus rising, and I'm so excited because I love Taurus energy so much, not to be biased or anything, but I do. And if you're not quite sure what the rising sign is and this is your first time searching for it, I highly recommend watching this video I made all about the rising signs in general. But as a brief summary, your rising sign is basically how you're going to come off to the world around you. It's the first impression people may get of you. It's kind of how you carry yourself in the world. It can also say a lot about your purpose in the world as well. Whereas your sun sign, also known as your main zodiac sign, is more of your egotistical and general nature. And then your moon sign reveals more about your emotional, deeper desires, so on and so forth. We're going to start off by talking about some of the general traits of a Taurus rising. Then we're going to carry on to the difficulties that a Taurus rising may face in their life, then the strengths they may have in their life as well. And then we'll finish off the video with a fun segment about a few Taurus rising celebrities that showcase the Taurus rising traits we talked about, so stay tuned for that. First and foremost, here are some general traits of somebody who has a Taurus rising sign. The most important thing to remember is that Taurus is the fixed earth sign ruled by Venus, symbolized by the bull. Venus brings a somewhat elegant, classy, and charming aura to these individuals when you first meet them. This is why at the beginning of this video I said that I dress this way to kind of channel my earth goddess energy, because Venus is huge goddess energy. Anybody who has a lot of Venus energy gives off a lot of like goddess, god, elegant, charming type energy, very aesthetically pleasing, so on and so forth. You get the point. So when it comes to a Taurus rising, they're usually going to come off as individuals who really know how to dress or really know how to just carry themselves. They may seem like they have it all put together and they just know how to do their hair, their makeup, wear their clothes, so on and so forth. On top of how people may perceive them because of their Venus rulership with this rising sign, as far as the Taurus rising themselves, they'll be very interested in making sure that they have very like authentic, high quality, luxurious items. And when it comes to a Taurus rising versus a Libra rising, it's not so much that they just want material things just to have them, although this can be true, of course. But generally speaking, it's usually more so because this sign is concerned with just having things that are high quality and can offer more of a promising performance to them. They're more practical to use because of their high quality. So you'll probably see these individuals in high quality clothes, or really investing in their health to take care of their skin, take care of themselves internally, fitness, whatever it may be that has to do with being appealing on the outside or having like an appealing living space, etc. Second, Taurus risings often appear to be very calm, collected people that take slow, reasonable actions towards every situation. Because this is an earth sign, it's more of a slower moving sign. It's not like a fire or air sign where they're very like quick-witted, very quick to move around and all over the place. It's more so like they're slower, grounded, and calm, and they'll take more methodical, practical approaches to everything that they do. In comparison to the other two earth signs, Capricorn and Virgo, Taurus is probably one of the slowest moving earth signs out of all three of them. They really aren't usually going to be too impulsive or reckless when they have this as a rising sign. Now, say this is a Taurus rising with like an Aries sun and a Sagittarius moon or something. Now, the sun and the moon are going to want to be very reckless, but when it comes to how they present themselves, they're going to present themselves as somebody who's very methodical, thinks about their actions or their words before they speak it or do it, etc. So when it comes to a Taurus rising, this person's going to come off very practical. They're going to seem like they really take their time. They don't just go, oh yeah, let's go do it, or oh yeah, let's do this. They're gonna be more like,
yeah, I don't know, let me think about it for like 10 years first.
Third, not only do they seek stability, but the long-term possibilities of everything they do is also very important to them. When it comes to Taurus rising, this means that they are concerned with the longevity of everything around them and don't want any inconsistency in their lives either. To give you a better hold on what fixed means, the fixed signs are the signs that take place when we are fully immersed into a season. Taurus's season is spring, so they maintain the season before it transitions into a new season. This same type of idea can be directly applied to how the Taurus rising approaches their lives. For example, in their career, they'll probably make the longevity of the job a priority. They naturally will gravitate towards things that promise this longevity versus a place with a high turnover rate and a lot of inconsistency in the workplace. Fourth, it's nearly impossible to force them to do anything or rush them into anything until they are ready or until they decide to do so. This is where the bull symbol comes in. So being symbolized by the bull, the Taurus rising takes on a lot of these bull-like traits. They may tend to be quite stubborn and unwavering in their own thoughts, opinions, decisions, etc. And they may take their time coming to a final decision, but once they do, their choice is practically unshakable and almost no one will be able to argue them out of it. This means that a Taurus rising can't usually be easily bossed around in general. They often do whatever they want when they want. If a Taurus isn't ready to do something, then there's usually no point in trying to force them into anything, as it will only frustrate them and cause them to come at you like the bull itself. If you're a Taurus rising watching this, please leave a comment down below. I love to know that my Tauruses are watching, but even if you don't, leave what your rising sign is down below because I love to know. And be sure you're not forgetting to hit the like button for me and the subscribe and the bell because this algorithm is real, you guys, and you have no idea how much it helps me if you do that for me. So thank you so much. Now for some difficulties that somebody with a Taurus rising placement may face in their life. First, although they crave material security in life, they may often find that they hold an inconsistent relationship with their finances. Because Taurus rising can sometimes be so stubborn and determined to have financial security or some other form of security, they might find that they'll begin to hold on to that security with a death grip, almost hoarding it. But it's very contradictory for a Taurus rising to naturally want the finer things in life, yet choose to try and hoard their money because they're so concerned with that security that it's almost a disadvantage to them. So what happens here is the potential to overspend because of the fact that they restricted themselves too much. A good example or a good way to think about this, a good analogy, is someone who is on a super restricted diet, super restrictive, and they just cut all sugar, everything cold turkey. And they last like 2 or 3 weeks doing this super ultra strict, really hard and kind of unhealthy diet. So they deprive themselves so much of this thing that they were used to having, these sweets and this sugar, that they get one little taste of it after 2 to 3 weeks of being without it, that they just go crazy and they just binge on sugar and everything, and now they've gained everything back or they lost the results that they were seeing because the restricted diet they were on was too extreme. It was not well balanced and they didn't give themselves sweets in moderation. They just completely cut it cold turkey and then thought they could have a bite and not go crazy, and they went crazy. So this is the best analogy I could think of when it comes to what I was just speaking about when it comes to the Taurus rising. Taurus risings may find that they have a weird mixed relationship with something that gives them security, whether it's finances or something else, but for the sake of this video, I'm just speaking about finances specifically. So they may hold on to them very tightly because they'll be like, no, I can't spend you because, you know, I want to have this much money in the long term, or I want to have a secure foundation in the long term. But then they're going to be so restrictive on their spending, even though they crave having a healthy but maybe more expensive diet, or these supplements they want, or skincare they want, or clothes, whatever it is, whatever luxury items that a Taurus rising wants to spend their money on, they will restrict themselves so much that there may be a tendency to overspend at times because they'll just binge all of the shopping that they've been holding back. Moral of the story here is that a Taurus rising may struggle with finding a good balance between spending on the more material things that they want in life and having a good financial plan. So overall, it's a good idea for a Taurus rising to make sure that they put in place a realistic, healthy financial plan for themselves so they can have a good balance between the two. Second, they may experience control issues and place way too much pressure on themselves to control and plan their lives in order to obtain what they want. Because this can be a sign that can be fixated on what they desire and be quite stubborn about it, they may experience tunnel vision as they grip the wheel of their life much too tightly. Rather than becoming so set in their ways that they're unprepared for unexpected dips and turns along the way, a Taurus rising may need to make sure that they're staying more focused on enjoying the present moment. And Taurus risings, it's so interesting because their Venus energy and their earthly energy, Taurus risings are really meant to enjoy life. Like, they're supposed to excel at just enjoying life. But because this is also an earth sign that is very concerned with the longevity of everything and also very practical, those two sides of themselves can kind of battle a little bit sometimes. So if a Taurus rising allows themselves to just enjoy the present moment, enjoy life, enjoy the little things, then they will be so happy because that should come natural to them in some sense. If they're getting too caught up in, no, I've got to do this, I got to do this, and they just get that blind tunnel vision going, then they're going to lose out on a lot in life or feel really unfulfilled in the end. So it is important that Taurus risings have a way to return to the present moment and make sure they're enjoying life along the way. Third, they could become a bit egotistic if they aren't careful. Once again, due to the more stubborn bull-like nature that Taurus risings may exemplify, they can become really stuck in their ways. And because of this, they may become very stuck in proving that they're better than somebody or proving that they're right and proving all these points that they shouldn't feel they need to prove. Because whenever you're doing things in life solely with the motive behind it to impress somebody else or be on top of somebody else, I mean, that's just unhealthy and it's not going to bring any satisfaction in the end, no matter what the Taurus rising does. Rather than getting caught up in the egotistical nature of like, oh yeah, I got to prove myself, or like being very competitive in an unhealthy way. Competition isn't bad, but if you're doing it with unhealthy motives, then it is bad. But just not allowing themselves to get sucked up into that egotistical mindset and being aware of it if it is there is really important. Now let's talk about some strengths that somebody with a Taurus rising may have in their life. First, they tend to have a natural ability to communicate with others in a soothing and charming way. Like mentioned earlier, their Venus rulership tends to give them a softer and more elegant or classy way of representing themselves to others, and this is also very strongly showcased in the way that they communicate with other people. Oftentimes they're very pleasant to listen to and maybe even soothing and relaxing as well. Like, people may just want to listen to their voices or listen to them speak because they just have a way of speaking that's very appealing to other people in some way. So a Taurus rising, like I said, rising signs can show a lot about your purpose. Taurus rising may easily have some purpose that has to do with their voice. Maybe it's a YouTuber, maybe it's doing like meditation videos, maybe it's singing, whatever it may be. They can do a lot with the way that they communicate. Second, they naturally attract other people and relationships, usually having somewhat of a gravitational pull to their presence. Once again, Venus comes into play here. Venus is very strong with Taurus energy. Again, that's that goddess, attractive energy that I've been speaking about this whole video. Oftentimes, because of that Venus rulership, a Taurus rising will have just like this beautiful, attractive aura that will make people gravitate towards them and want to just pay attention to them for some reason. Because of this rising sign's house placements, usually they'll have a lot of really strong potential for very like dedicated, loyal partnerships, whether it's romantic, friendly, career-wise, whatever. This has a lot to do, once again, with the fact that people tend to gravitate towards them. They'll have a natural ability to really bridge that gap between them and people and be able to create strong partnerships in some way. Not to mention, Taurus risings will usually be very loyal and caring to others in general as well, so there's that too. Third, Taurus rising has the steadiness and practicality needed to achieve many of their long-term goals. Once again, Taurus rising really needs to enjoy life and embrace the present moment, because that's really one of Taurus rising's biggest needs in their lives, really. But when it comes to achieving those like material things that a Taurus rising may have their eyes on as well, they do have the methodical practicality to dedicate themselves to achieving that goal. So it's not to say that Taurus risings are just like slow moving, lazy bulls or whatever. No, think about it. Bulls can be slow moving and everything, but they take charge when they're focused on that little red flag waving in front of them. So that is something that Taurus risings have. They can take that really strong bull-like approach to charge ahead in the world and take on and embody what they want to be, who they want to be, and where they want to be in the future. Now for the fun part, here are a few Taurus rising celebrities that exemplify some of the traits we talked about. First is Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah is very much physically a huge representation of how a Taurus rising carries themselves physically. She has a calm yet strong, confident demeanor about her, and she speaks in a very charismatic and charming way. She knows how to just speak to people, joke around, be playful, but yet very strong. Like, she has a very strong voice, strong presence. And not to mention, she was one of the first female rappers in the industry as well as a singer. And Queen Latifah, because she was one of the first noted female rappers at the time, that means that no one could tell her that it was an impossible goal. And because I'm sure there was a point in time where people were like, a big female rapper, like that's kind of hard to believe that that could happen. But she seems like the type, like she gives off the air that you can't tell her what to do and she's going to do what she wants. And I feel like that's a huge reason that we've come to know Queen Latifah as the celebrity that she is today. Second, we have Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson has a seemingly calm aura of a Taurus rising, even though he has been known to go on funny rants once you get him talking. And Robert Pattinson's kind of the epitome of a Taurus rising that just doesn't apologize for doing what he wants and saying what he wants. You can literally look on the internet and find like a million funny moments that prove this. And here's one of my personal favorites. Like, who does that? Only a freaking Taurus rising, plus he has a Taurus sun sign, could do something like that and just not care. And I feel like he's a good example of a Taurus rising that's just enjoying the pleasures of life and just doing his thing while also being extremely successful. He's clearly an ambitious actor who's made a very successful career for himself, even though he just appears to be laid back or maybe even lazy. Third, Gigi Hadid. She's definitely a Taurus rising that exudes a lot of Venus energy, being one of the most noted models out there at the moment, and has also expressed a strong love for creativity, like cooking and photography, and even vocalizing the fact that she probably would have had some type of creative career if she didn't become successful in modeling. She also told Jimmy Fallon that she can be very competitive when placed in that type of environment, which is again showcasing that Taurus bull-like energy that we talked about before. In addition, she expressed in the same interview that she has always taken a practical approach to her fashion sense, mixing athletic clothes with things that make it appear more classy and fashionable, so she could look put together when she goes to class or other places, but then goes straight to the gym afterwards. Finding the work smarter, not harder, and more practical approach to something like her style is a very Taurus rising thing to do. Once again, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure you're hitting the like button for me. It helps me out so much so I can reach other people just like you. And be sure that you hit the subscribe button and the bell. And you can also hop over to the LaBlue Lotus Facebook community, where we talk more about using astrology, spirituality for self-transformation. And if you want even more education on astrology and spirituality, you can watch these videos if you haven't already, or hop over to my Instagram at Marisa LaBlue for a more personal side of my entire journey on the internet. But until I see you next time, thank you so much again for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Adios.